At first glance, Fergie needed absolutely no convincing of the star power she withheld, not only because of her gimmicky style and playful rapping, but because she was the only female member of the iconic and hugely successful Black Eyed Peas group, which ultimately made her stand out. After having such an outstanding run with the Black Eyed Peas, consistently achieving hit after hit, in the age where stars like Gwen Stefani were breaking away from their group to become solo stars, it was only practical that she follow suit. And so she did. After having tons of material recorded throughout the years that detailed some of her personal experiences, she decided to put them out, and was rewarded greatly with the reception it received. The Dutchess arrived in 2006 and was produced by close band member Will.i.am. The album spawned 6 singles, the first being London Bridge, which did extremely well and went on to reach the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. The second single was Fergalicious, which became a signature song for her, referencing her name and highlighting her bold personality. It also peaked within the top 2 of the charts. She followed this with yet another smash single, Glamorous, and became her second #1 off the album. It took on a smooth pop R&B sound sonically. She departed away from her glitzy, over-the-top persona momentarily with Big Girls Don't Cry, which showcases her vocals and vulnerability quite well, and the world agreed, seeing that it shot straight to the top spot all around the globe. The last 2 singles from the album, Clumsy and Finally, did moderately well and helped continue the album's long reign on the charts. It broke numerous records and sold millions in the process. The Duchess was a defining moment not only for Fergie's career, but for mid-thousands pop music. 5 of the singles sold over 2 million copies. She became the first female artist with 3 #1s on the album since Christina Aguilera, who had done it 6 years prior. The album itself went on to sell over 6 million copies worldwide. She was pop's reigning diva, with a lot of edge and hip-hop and R&B influence. The best way I would put it would be an edgier Katy Perry during her teenage dream era. Even though the Duchess was highly successful, it was met with some criticism where she was compared to her contemporaries Gwen Stefani and Nelly Furtado. A few years prior, Gwen Stefani's debut studio album Love Angel Music Baby proved to be successful, but it also had a hand in creating some careers and riffs amongst other emerging stars during that time, such as Fergie and Nelly Furtado. The success of the album's R&B, pop, and adult contemporary sound helped propel Fergie's Dutchess and Nelly Furtado's Loose into superstardom. Fergie and Nelly even went on to have a brief feud. The rumor is that Fergie had changed the sound of her solo album to follow Nelly's style. In Fergalicious, there's a slight connection as Fergie raps, "But I ain't promiscuous, and if you was suspicious, all that shit is fictitious." Nelly responded with the diss track titled Give It To Me featuring Justin Timberlake and Timbaland. Seeing you trying to switch it up, well girl you ain't got to. You love my ass and my abs in the video called Promiscuous. My style is meticulous. Meanwhile, while they were both going at it over who was copying who, the critics were crediting Gwen for their success, being she was the first one to take that route. Both Fergie and Nelly's album drew strong comparisons to Love Angel Music Baby, but especially Fergie. Fergie and some of her music videos were accused of ripping off Stefani's signature Harajuku style, mostly from her Luxurious music video. The album's lead single, London Bridge, was parallel to Holla Back Girl, and the third single, Glamorous, to Luxurious, which both sounded similar and had very similar themes. However, Fergie denied accusations of ripping off Stefani, stating, "This is all so ridiculous. The piece and I make music we love, and for others to speculate is their problem." Even with those strong comparisons, it didn't seem like the Fergie hype would die down anytime soon. She was simply unstoppable. But instead of continuing her largely successful solo career, she reverted back to the Black Eyed Peas, who went on to dominate. She teamed up with them to release their album The Energy Never Dies, which spawned countless hits back to back like Meet Me Halfway, I Got a Feelin', and Boom Boom Pow. So it's safe to say even though she didn't immediately follow up with her solo work, she was still dominating with her group heavily. I think it's also worth noting that the Black Eyed Peas won 6 Grammys over the course of their career, have a diamond record, and #1 hits, so they were a pretty huge deal. But after their popularity died down, Fergie decided to take a break from the group and decided to work on her second studio album, cleverly titled Double Dutchess. Unfortunately, the album did suffer a few delays because she wanted to be a mom and wife and wanted to spend more time with her kids, which is understandable. She released a few promotional singles to propel the album, like the viral hit MILF Money, which wasn't received quite well but was praised for its video, and LA Love, which was more classic Fergie fare. Shortly after the release of those singles, she announced that she had split from her label and she went on to start her own. And eventually Double Dutchess was released and it received mixed reviews and failed to be as successful as her first album. It debuted with only a little over 20,000 copies sold and missing the top 10 altogether on the Billboard Hot 200. She had a handful of potential hits on this album, such as You Already Know featuring Nicki Minaj, Enchante, and even LA Love, but I assume the label shifting and constant delays is what ultimately held this record back from reaching its full potential. After the release of this album, Fergie laid completely low. This time around there was no band to revert back to, and her solo career was a bit sluggish, and her rendition of the Star Spangled Banner at the 2018 NBA All-Star Game wouldn't help that, which I think it's normal, all artists have their off days. She responded by saying, "I'm a risk taker artistically, but clearly this rendition didn't strike the intended tone." She said, "I love this country, and I honestly tried my best." As for Fergie in her personal life, she recently finalized a divorce with her ex-husband Josh Duhamel and seems to be happy and content spending time with her son Axel Jack. Ultimately, I would have to say the gap between her first and second album is what led to its underperformance. It took 11 years. That's like a century in music industry time, and the music industry has changed drastically within that large amount of time. Even though she released some songs that could be heard on the radio today, she didn't have that same stability with a core audience. With that being said, after all, she is Fergie, and I would 100% consider her a pop icon. She played a vital role not only as a solo artist but with her group in pop music during the mid and late thousands and early 2010s, and she definitely deserves some kind of respect. Many people like to credit Iggy Azalea with being the first white mainstream female rapper. In reality, it was Fergie, and you can see where some of her influence might have rubbed off from artists like Kesha during their prime, except even though Fergie's raps weren't anything hardcore or show-stopping, it helped showcase her personality much more. She was pretty accepted by the hip-hop community and still shows a lot of respect to it in her newer music. She's also a very versatile artist. With the R&B, hip-hop, and pop influence, I can say she tackles every genre quite well. I mean, just take a look back at her debut album singles, Fergalicious, Big Girls Don't Cry, and Glamorous. All pretty different, and she uses the different genres to showcase the different sides of her personality, and she does it in a way that doesn't remind you of anyone else present day. She's paved her own way, and did it in a way that only Fergie could do it.